U.S. immigration attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions, and I have a good topic for you today. So today I have a very short period of time, so I'm coming on very quickly. I'm going to get straight to the point. Put your questions in the comments so I can quickly answer your questions if you have any questions. But I'm going to talk about this one. And that's what kind of spouse do you have? And I'll tell you this. And are you thinking about going through the marriage green card process? Because if you have this kind of spouse, you will not succeed in the process. Hi there, Sexy Chrissy, right? I have become an expert at spotting spouses who will not help their immigrant spouses to get the green card. Now, one, if you're finding that you're doing everything regarding the permanent residence, that spouse is not a team player. They're not going to get you to the end of the process because it takes the two of you to get through this marriage based process. You, as the immigrant, cannot bear the burden of applying for the green card on your own because the immigration service is not only asking for your cooperation, but they're also requiring the cooperation of your spouse. And so when they're asking the spouse, for example, let me give you an example of where this can be impossible. If you are submitting your application while you're here in the US, only one application is going to be, one application is going to be yours and one is going to belong to your spouse. It's called the I-130, belongs to the US citizen or permanent resident spouse. And when you call in, if you want to find out what's going on with that I-130 petition, they're always going to tell you that they need to speak directly to your spouse. They will not let you know what's going on with that I-130 petition unless that spouse is involved. So if you think that you can have them to sign off on the I-130 and then go file the rest on your own, you have a nasty surprise in the future because you will be blocked from even seeing the status of the I-130 if your spouse is not allowing you to see it. And if your spouse is not a team player in the process, if the USCIS has additional questions or concerns about that I-130 petition and they send a request for evidence or a notice of intent to deny, you're not going to get it. It's your spouse that's going to get it. And even if you get it, you're not going to be able to respond to it. The spouse has to respond to it. To be the spouse or the attorney of the spouse has to be the person to respond to that request for evidence, or they're going to find that it's not a valid response to the request for evidence. So it takes two. So whenever I am talking to individuals who want to get started on the marriage-based process, I look for two of them to be involved. And if they're not, I ask questions. The other is that they refuse, they're secretive. If they are not telling you their income, because you're going to need to know their income, they're not giving you their tax papers, they're not telling you, their background, were they even married in the past, red flag. That spouse does not want to see you succeed if they know that they need to give this information and they're not giving it. The other thing you need to look out for, and this you can spot this before you even start the process, before you even think about committing to a person like this, is you want to make sure that this person is going to look out for you. That if you give up your ability to travel back and forth between here and your country and you end up overstaying, that they're going to have your back and they're going to apply for you to get legal status. Most spouses would do that. And if they're not doing that, then it makes it impossible for you to thrive here. And so, the number one thing I would say you should look out for is them oversimplifying, them not having a full, complete picture of what's required of them before you even get married. So, for example, in many situations, I see that the spouses, how they end up getting married is they'll say they fell in love, they wanted to spend the time together, so the citizen spouse or the citizen or resident spouse proposed. Usually it's a citizen because permanent resident spouses tend to know what everything, what this all requires because they themselves have been through it. So, but sometimes US citizens who were born and raised here, who have never had issues or had any experience with immigration, they don't know what's required. And so sometimes the citizen in their heads, it's supposed to be really simple. So they end up saying, proposing, because they're in love and they can't picture life without you as an immigrant. So they go ahead and propose. But what they don't realize is that there's a whole bunch of things that are going to follow. It's going to be a 5 month to a year and a half commitment to go through the marriage based process. What many of them think who don't have experience with the immigration process is the minute they get married to you, you're good. You will get your papers. And then where things go south is where that citizen spouse starts to realize that, wait a minute, you have to go through this process. They don't want to go through all of that, and now they have full control over you because they can use it against you. They can continue to control you. They can continue to hold that over your head. So I would say if they are born and raised here in the United States, they don't have any paper, they have never had a passport. That's one way that you can tell. Then you need to have more of a conversation with them about the process and what's required of them. All right, so I have very little time, so I'm going to go through your questions. Put your questions in the comments and I will answer your questions. All right, so I'm in Jamaica. Can you get married to a citizen if you were deported more than 10 years? Is that acceptable if I'm married to a citizen? Is it okay to re-enter? You have a complex situation here. It's going to depend on the reason for the deportation. It may be possible. Yes, it may be possible to marry a US citizen and come back. But I would have to evaluate why were you deported and whether the time that you're supposed to be outside of the United States has already passed, because the reason for the deportation is going to determine what waiver of inadmissibility that you'll need to file and whether you need to file permission to reapply for reentry. So it's very important to make sure that you get legal advice before and during your process because it's not going to be very straightforward. All right, so that's gonna be it for me. I have to head out to engagements, but listen, go ahead, schedule your appointment with me so I can help you. I want to help you. My schedule is there are slots going very quickly. So if you want to get assistance very quickly, make sure you call the office, schedule your appointment, go to the link in the profile. If you click on the link, it's going to take you to the website on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You'll see it in the description of the video. You can schedule your own appointment, so you don't have to if you don't want to take the time to call the office, you can schedule your own appointment, or you can call the office and staff members will be more than happy to help you. Where the button to schedule your own appointment is can be very convenient for you is over the weekends when the office is closed. You can always call, but we will not get to book that appointment till Monday. So if you want to go ahead and schedule your appointment, do it. Make sure you do it with that button where you can schedule your own appointment. It's very quick, very easy, and you confirm your appointment once you click the submit button. All right. I will see you on Monday where I'll come with another topic and you can come with your questions. Have a good one. Bye bye. So, not today, Wahuri. I already addressed questions, but I'll be back on Monday. All right. So, come back Monday and ask some questions.